Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a medical mystery that is, well, it's pretty harrowing. And it uncovers a potential public health threat that might just be hiding where we'd least expect it.
So let's just start with this quote right here. Imagine that happening to you. This is the story of a highly successful professional, we're going to call him Silverbeat, whose entire life was just completely turned upside down by symptoms that honestly sound like they're straight out of a sci-fi movie. Before all of this started, Silverbeat was, the very definition of success. He was a senior manager at a huge Australian transport company, pulling 80-hour weeks, overseeing thousands of people. He was at the top of his game. But this health crisis, it didn't just happen overnight. It was this slow, terrifying escalation. At first, it was just nagging things, persistent sinus infections, losing his voice for weeks at a time. Then a really bad flu hit him. And after that, these boils and abscesses popped up that just would not heal. And then it got really weird. Strange fibers started erupting from his skin. There was a strong sulfur-like smell. And get this, solid, needle-shaped objects and tar-like pebbles started coming out of his nose.
So as his body is failing him in these completely bizarre ways, Silverbeat does what any of us would do. He turns to the medical system for answers. But what he found was, it was disbelief, dismissal, and just a total failure to see what was happening right in front of them.
And this slide just perfectly captures the heart of his trauma. I mean, look at this. On one side, you've got his reality, debilitating sores, crippling pain, can't sleep, and things literally coming out of his skin. And on the other side, the medical diagnosis. Oh, it's all in your head. You're just picking at yourself. You have delusions of parasitosis. Can you imagine?
And let's be clear, this misdiagnosis wasn't just some clerical error. It had devastating real-world consequences. He was actually treated as a psychiatric patient. He lost that high-powered career. The strain destroyed his marriage and his finances. It cost him pretty much everything.
After years of suffering and pretty much losing all faith in doctors, a really severe episode lands him back in the hospital. But this time, he's in front of one dermatologist who finally saw things differently.
This was the big turning point, the moment of truth.
The diagnosis was not a delusion, not even close. It was CRUSTED SCABIES, a severe, massive hyper-infestation of a very well-known parasite. It was real. It was physical.
Now hold on, because this is not the common scabies you might have heard of. In a normal case, a person might have, say, a dozen mites. With crusted scabies, the body is completely overwhelmed by hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of them. They create these thick, crusted sores all over the skin. It basically happens when a person's immune system is compromised and just cannot fight them off.
Okay, so let's really dive into this because this diagnosis is the key. It's what unlocks the whole mystery of how a tiny skin mite could cause such a catastrophic body-wide breakdown. This is so much more than just a skin disease.
This is where it all just clicks into place. Every single bizarre symptom, it's all connected in this terrifying domino effect. The skin lesions from millions of mites basically became open doors for bacteria. That led to secondary infections, causing him to lose his voice. It led to a bone infection, osteomyelitis, that was literally destroying parts of his jaw. His body's massive fight against all this infection triggered sepsis, a life-threatening condition that caused the delirium and hallucinations. And that crushing pain he felt, that was his body's own immune response attacking his muscles. It all connects. It's just wild.
And even after the mites were finally treated, even after they were gone, the battle wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Surviving sepsis left his body in a state of chronic inflammation called post-sepsis syndrome. This makes him incredibly vulnerable to really severe complications from even minor infections down the road.
So Silverbeat's story is obviously harrowing, but it's also a huge warning. His experience pulls back the curtain on how this disease could be quietly building into a major but largely invisible public health crisis.
This is a direct quote from Silverbeat himself. After everything he went through, he doesn't think his case is that rare. He thinks it's just rarely diagnosed. He actually suspects it could be a hidden cause of sickness and even death among our most vulnerable, especially in places like nursing homes. And you know what? The science absolutely supports his concern. The disease thrives in populations where immune systems are weaker or in crowded living situations. So all the groups you see here are at extremely high risk. We're talking about the elderly, people in care facilities, the homeless community, and anyone who's immunocompromised. The worry among experts in Australia is that it could be spreading widely, right under our noses, through these very communities,
just being misdiagnosed as a simple skin problem, or even just the effects of old age.
And that really leaves us with this final, pretty chilling thought. If a successful, articulate senior manager could be dismissed by the medical system for years and told it was all in his head, what is happening to those who don't have a voice? How many other people are out there right now suffering from a very real, very terrible disease that's just hiding in plain sight?